if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show, presented by Play Now, the official sports betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets, starts now.
Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. For all those joining us live this evening on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we say good evening, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show. Not sure where Dave and Ezzy are, but that doesn't matter. I got Connor Harabchuk with me, and that's way better than the other two gentlemen to discuss tonight's Winnipeg Jets-Carolina Hurricanes game. A game that the Jets obviously come on the losing end of. 4-2 is the final score in Raleigh, North Carolina. A game that I would say, Mr. Connor, a little bit of a frustrating effort, frustrating game from the Winnipeg Jets. And I think you saw that frustration sort of boil over there later in the contest when Mark Scheifele gets both a minor penalty and a 10-minute misconduct to end his night early. The game was well out of hand at that point in time, so it didn't really have any impact on the final score, but you just sort of felt that the Jets were frustrated with their play, with maybe the flow of the game, with maybe some of the officiating. They just seemed to be a bit of a bothered group, ready to end the road trip and head on home for the New York Rangers on Tuesday night.
And maybe frustrated with Freddie Anderson a bit as well. Like they definitely could have played better. I thought this was mostly an even game at 5-on-5. The Jets power play went 0 for 3. The Carolina got a power play goal. They went 1 for 6 though. So the Jets penalty kill actually with a pretty decent performance as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think there were some really grade A chances that the Jets were unable to convert on. And then hilariously enough, the 2 goals that they do score are 2 of the worst goals I think you'll ever see.
That's the Freddie Anderson experience right there in a nutshell, isn't it?
Yes, it sure is. But yeah, a lot of frustration, both in their lack to convert on those chances and lack to generate them for sure. And I think it starts at the top of the lineup. The top line wasn't good enough tonight. Nikolai Ehlers had some really good shifts, was really buzzing, but the rest of the second line, I mean, Cole Perfetti had a good game too. Vladislav Nemestikov left in the third period and didn't return after taking a high hit. I'm sure we'll get into that as well. But Carolina is a really good team. Things like this are going to happen. They squeeze teams out and don't allow chances, and that's what they did on this night. And when there were chances, the Jets got robbed by Freddie Anderson or beat him from the wall or beat him from receiving a pass in the slot, either or.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, there were opportunities. In fact, if you look at natural stat trick, the Jets actually outchanced the Hurricanes in terms of 5-on-5 high danger chances by a 12-10 margin. So Freddie Anderson was really strong in net for the Carolina Hurricanes, but this didn't feel like the Jets. Just from really early on, it felt like the Jets were sort of in chase mode for the majority of the game. Early on in this contest, you mentioned the shorthanded chances, the power play. The Hurricanes get a number of early power play opportunities, and once that happens, it takes you sort of out of the flow of the game. So I thought that impacted things in the course of tonight's game. Just not the Jets style, not the approach that we're used to seeing from the Winnipeg Jets. And Carolina, again, they're a very good hockey team that knows how to play their style and as a result stifle the opponent as well. So I do think that there's something to be said for them doing that successfully, and the Jets maybe finding that frustrating as the game and the night went on.
Yeah, and I think part of the frustration too, from the Jets' point of view, is the fact that they did outchance the Hurricanes 12-10, and it was some key mistakes and key moments that ended up in the back of their net that cost them. They probably deserved a better fate. They probably felt like they deserved a better fate in this game, and the stats and the analytics would support that. Did they play their best game? Absolutely not. But it's those key mistakes and key moments. And when we get into the Play Now game recap, there we go. Had to reference it, of course.
Yeah.
When we get into that, the very first goal is one of them. And it'll be really interesting to see how the Jets can clean that up going forward, because to me, this is very similar to the Islanders loss a few games ago, where quality of opponent is different, but the Jets probably should have won that game too against the Islanders, or it was a 50-50 game, but some key mistakes and key moments cost them, and they come out in the losing end in regulation. And I believe the TSN broadcast said now 21-12 on the road this year, which is still a very good road record. They're still the number one team in the NHL, number one team in the West. Right. But with Dallas right there behind them, these are points that you'd like to get for sure.
Well, there's no question about it. You talk about Dallas, and last night they almost came back from being down 5-1 to the Edmonton Oilers. They fall just short, but the Stars in action later tonight against the Vancouver Canucks. So there's going to be a lot of fans, Winnipeg Jets fans, who are going to be rooting for the Vancouver Canucks later on tonight, because this is an opportunity, of course, for the Stars. After tonight, they'll have one game in hand on the Jets, and they can be anywhere from 8, 7, or 6 points behind the Winnipeg Jets. And everybody, of course, has Friday's game against the Dallas Stars sort of circled on the calendar for the Jets. And I know that, tonight's contest, Carolina more rested than the Winnipeg Jets. Carolina hasn't played since, I believe, Thursday night. So they had, really 3 full days, which I think was important for them because it allowed them to sort of come to grips with a changing roster again.
Yeah.
Logan Stankoven, he scores tonight for the Carolina Hurricanes in his Hurricanes debut, and Mark Jankowski, a guy the Jets fans are familiar with in his time with Nashville, obviously gets those 2 goals. So that really takes the sting out of having to trade Mikko Rantanen away from the Carolina Hurricanes perspective. Things are a lot better. Had this game been the Friday game or the Saturday game, I wonder what Carolina's mindset is. But instead, because they sort of have those 2 days, they allow the waters to calm down. They felt, I think, they looked to me just like a team that wanted to, similar to the Jets on Friday against New Jersey, wanted to make a statement that, yeah, we traded Rantanen, not ideally how we wanted the last 6 weeks to play out, but we still have a pretty damn good hockey team here. We still have some talented players. Stankoven, he's going to be fine. We still have Seth Jarvis. He got the empty netter tonight. We still have Jacob Slavin on the back end, who was noticeable and active and everything that you expect to see out of him, and all the other guys up and down the Hurricanes roster. This had more of an edge to it than I would have thought for 2 teams that really don't play each other except for twice a year. There was a couple, not dirty hits, but higher hits than you were used to seeing. I mean, we know that, Mason Appleton took that double minor penalty in the first period. He caught somebody up high. Vlad Nemesnikov got caught up high. Just there was a little bit of an edge to this game, and I think that sort of that emotion helped the Carolina Hurricanes in tonight's contest.
I agree with you. And one thing that we talk about a lot with teams that have a lot of noise around them at the trade deadline too is sometimes they'll come out of the trade deadline and look like a relieved team. Well, Mikko Rantanen was traded to the Carolina Hurricanes, and he struggled as a member of the Hurricanes, leading them to eventually trade him, mostly because they didn't have an extension in place, but also because it wasn't a seamless fit and they couldn't bet on him, being on their roster and being that usual Mikko Rantanen self down the stretch and into the playoffs. So there was so much noise around this Hurricanes team the night before the trade deadline and trade deadline day as they were making this Mikko Rantanen deal. And maybe every single Hurricanes player was sitting there wondering if they were a part of a trade or a part of that trade with Mikko Rantanen headed to Dallas. Now they're through the trade deadline. All of that noise is behind them. They have Logan Stankoven, who got a really nice deflection goal in this game, like you said, who's going to fit in that system perfectly. I mean, like a small, great forechecking pest player that can play with skill. That's a Carolina Hurricanes player right there. And he's going to fit in well alongside Aho and Jarvis and all of those talented players up front. So I think the Hurricanes played with a little bit more passion, looked like a team that was maybe relieved that they're through the deadline. And when Logan Stankoven gets a goal in the first game, the vibes are going to be high for that Hurricanes team for sure.
Exactly right. And frankly, they needed to have a good statement tonight. The Winnipeg Jets, having won the back-to-backs, this would have been a very nice victory. To be able to go into Carolina would have been a very nice victory, but it's certainly by no means a must-win for the Winnipeg Jets. It's like most games for the Jets here on out are want-to-wins as opposed to must-wins. It's not like they were, when you're down, I guess they were down 3-0 before they cut it to 3-1. and the score certainly was not flattering to the Winnipeg Jets, but it was also not in what I would describe as entirely reflective of the game. Freddie Anderson was terrific today for the Winnipeg Jets. And not that the Jets got goalied by any stretch of the imagination, because that would be a bridge too far, and that would be taking away too much credit from all the other Carolina Hurricanes players. But like every team in this league, you need your goalie to step up in key moments, and he did. There were a number of good point-blank opportunities that the Winnipeg Jets had when this was still a close competitive game, that had one of those go in, it's a different story entirely. Cole Perfetti scores to cut the lead to 2-1, only it's taken off the board after the review as they declared it a high stick. It was probably a high stick.
Yeah,
but there was no definitive angle that we could see on the TV broadcast that showed it as a high stick.
Yeah.
I'll give the referees the benefit of the doubt. I'll give the NHL Situation Room the benefit of the doubt that they have that angle that showed it. Logically, it probably was, but, at home, as the home viewer, we're not clear about that, but the officials made the call that the officials made, and if they choose to interpret it in a slightly different way, it's probably a 2-1 game at that point in time. That would have been, Carolina had made it 2-0. Let me just find it here. They'd made it 2-0 5 minutes into the second period. This goal would have been maybe at the 7-minute mark, so you would have been close to the halfway point of the game, with it being a 2-1 game instead of a 2-0 game, and I thought the Jets... that goal being taken off the board sort of sagged the Jets a little bit, because it was such a strong response, especially by Nikolai Ehlers, who generated that goal, right after the Hurricanes had made it 2-0, that it's only natural you're going to have a little bit of a letdown, I think, after that point in time.
Yeah, I believe it was actually the very next shift after Carolina made it 2-0. They came with Ehlers, Meskov, Perfetti, and Nikolai Ehlers dominated that shift. He drove that shift. He generated a ton of chances. The puck went to the point. Cole Perfetti with the deflection. And yeah, was it probably a high stick? Yeah, I agree with you. But like you said, we did not see a definitive angle. I'm sure the refs did. The refs have more angles at their disposal and more technology at their disposal than the TV broadcast crew does. So like you said, I'm going to give the refs the benefit of the doubt on that one, but that would have been a huge response goal for the Jets. And it also would have been nice to see that second line be rewarded in this game. I thought they were by far the Jets' best line before Nemeskov's injury in the third. Nikolai Ehlers has been buzzing as of late. The past couple of games, this game, he was great as well. Cole Perfetti had the goal taken away. And then in the third period, he had a really nice move to spring himself on a breakaway. Like, he was skating backwards and chipped the puck around the defenseman. The defenseman fell and he beat him. And
that's a confident player making that play right there.
He's looking so much better as of late as well. And that play where he springs himself on the breakaway, he shoots the puck and Freddie Anderson has no clue where the puck is, but it just hits him and there's no rebound and nothing. So it's, it was that kind of game. Kyle Connor had a slot shot one-timer that Freddie Anderson gloved and windmilled. Like, the Jets had chances in this game.
Gabe Velarde's attempt where, Anderson's back is to the play. Freddie Anderson is... you can't rely on him. That's the problem with the goaltending for the Carolina Hurricanes, is Freddie Anderson in the same game was incredible, awkward, but incredible, and at the same time also gave up 2 terrible goals.
Yes. Yeah. And if those 2 goals happened earlier, we're talking about a different game, right? Before the empty netter, of course. But yeah, that's the Freddie Anderson experience. You said it off the top of the show, and it's never been more evident than this game right here, making 10 bell saves the entire game and then gives up a goal from the wall off of Alex Iafallo's stick. But yeah, I thought that second line was really, really solid for the Jets in this one. If you want to take a bit of a silver lining approach, that line has been really great for Winnipeg the last 15 games.
Yeah.
And this game, they carried that momentum through. Nikolai Ehlers was at the center of it. And I think Cole Perfetti is just continuing to elevate. Reminder, this time last year, he's extended goal drought, not even in the lineup. Tyler Toffoli filled his role. Now he's in the top 6. He's a confident player, like you said.
Yeah, to your point about the second line, shot attempts 9-2 in their favor at 5-on-5 in today's game. The expected goals for that line, 83%. For Nikolai Ehlers individually, shot attempts 12-3 and 90% was his expected goals. So that second line for the Jets was absolutely dominant. They were the best of the Winnipeg Jets on the ice tonight. They don't get rewarded, but they come oh so close. Again, so if you're looking, I think I said this after the Islanders game. The loss, the Jets haven't lost that many games this year, and it's a little bit bothersome when they do for a lot of people. Yeah. But it's not like it was a catastrophe. It's not like this was them being dominated top to bottom or anything along those lines. This was an instance where the Carolina Hurricanes are a damn good hockey team. They got some very opportunistic plays. They probably outplayed the Jets, so credit to them. But it's not like it was so one-sided that you're now, tearing out your, at least in my case, the few remaining hairs I have and trying to figure out what happened with this Winnipeg Jets team. It wasn't that. So, for those who are looking for the silver linings, that's something that you certainly can grasp onto as tonight's game when you consider tonight's game and you consider the occurrence of tonight's game. There were 6 goals to talk about. Sorry, you were going to say something. Could talk about.
Well, no, I was just going to agree with you and say that I said it earlier. I thought this was a coin flip 50-50 game, that the Jets had some key mistakes. Freddie Anderson made some key saves at key times. They got a power play goal at a really key moment, Carolina as well, that put them up 3-0 at the time in the third period. Disallowed goal for the Jets, too many penalties for the Jets, 6 power plays for Carolina. Things like this happen. And if you're going to lose a game like this, lose it in the East, and that's what they did.
Lose it in the East is right. And you talk about the 6 power play opportunities for the Hurricanes. I'll let somebody in the chat who, if you want to take on that challenge. This seems like that would be the most shorthanded opportunities, the most power plays the Jets have given up this year. I can't remember very many games where they've given up 6 power play opportunities to their opposition. And again, when it happens early in the contest, like it does. I mean, look at the game summary. Vlad Nemesnikov takes the interference penalty at the 7:16 mark. Mason Appleton takes the double minor at the 12:07 mark. They kill those penalties, but you're really talking about 6 of the first 14 minutes of the game are played shorthanded. And it's hard to get into the flow of the game. You want to be able to play more at 5-on-5. Than the little amount they played at 5-on-5 to start the game. And as a result, I thought they were chasing for the entirety after that. Let's get into the nitty-gritty details. It is the goal-by-goal recap.
The Play Now game recap.
It is called the Play Now game recap because it is brought to you by our friends at Play Now, official sponsor of the Illegal Curve broadcast. Don't bet on illegal sites. Bet with Play Now instead, Manitoba's local legal and secure gambling site. 18 plus. Enjoy responsibly. Big thanks to our friends at Play Now for their continued support of Illegal Curve hockey. I mentioned the penalties, so Nemesnikov takes the interference penalty, then Svechnikov and Stanley also take offsetting roughing penalties there. Hurricanes early power play. Jets PK looked pretty good. Good. Got killed off that penalty. Mason Appleton, a couple minutes later, 5 minutes later, he takes a double minor for high sticking. Inadvertent. There was no intent, but you still have to be in control of your stick at all times. Carolina goes to the power play. Jets penalty kill looks great. So much so that it forces the Hurricanes to take their own minor penalty when Svechnikov takes a hooking penalty. The Jets get a very abbreviated power play as a result. No dice, no blood on either side. But then in the last 2 minutes of the period, the Jets, after an offensive zone faceoff. So the Jets, you figure, they're in a good position. It's an offensive zone faceoff. The puck gets chipped out. Logan Stanley, just loses track of Mark Jankowski. Doesn't get the puck deep enough, into the Hurricane zone, and Jankowski just sneaks behind them and is sent in all alone by Scott Morrow for the breakaway. Nice shot by Jankowski. He's sort of an analytics guy's dream player, underrated, but always puts up good underlying numbers. Gets behind Stanley. Colin Miller's in a chase position. He can't get back either. And the Hurricanes take the 1-0 lead with 1 minute and 55 seconds to go in the first period.
Was anyone on Twitter? Did you see, Drew? Was anyone mad about this one?
Honestly, honestly, Connor, sorry, I was about to call you Logan there. I'm certain that they were, but I don't have the time or the energy or the brain power to relitigate the same Twitter-based fights over and over and over again. What I will say is, for a Winnipeg Jets organization that has really put a premium for many years now on hockey sense, forget about the size, forget about everything else. I find it odd that Logan Stanley, who's never been accused of having great hockey sense, continues to get the benefit of the doubt, because hockey sense has been such a premium for the organization, for the Jets. And Logan Stanley, another instance where we see where he doesn't have the requisite hockey sense and gets burnt as a result.
Yeah, and I thought so 2 points to this. I want to agree with both the TSN broadcasters that kind of broke this goal down. I'll start with Kevin Sawyer, who took kind of a grand approach to it and said mistakes like this and misreads like this are what's going to cost you in the playoffs. And he even went as far as mentioning like Hayden Fleury and Luke Schenn is coming. These players are vying for these depth roles, and these depth roles should be put at a premium heading into the playoffs, because in the playoffs, every team is good, and the Carolina Hurricanes are good. And when you make a mistake or a misread like that, it's going to burn you. And Frank Corrado at the intermission, he broke down the goal and was saying how when you shoot the puck as a defenseman at the point, that winger is always looking to cheat out. They're going to try and block the shot, and then they're going to go. Logan Stanley then steps up, loses his positioning. It's a misread. It's a mistake. Gets behind him, and he beats Connor Hellebuck. These are the mistakes. I said it on the top of the show that cost the Jets in this game. That went from a coin flip game to a regulation loss, right? The Jets maybe felt they played well enough, that they had more high danger chances at 5-on-5. But if you make a key mistake in a key moment like this, it's going to cost you, and it puts you down 1-0. And in a first period where you spent the first 6 of the first 14 minutes shorthanded, and you give up the first goal after that, not even shorthanded, that's just a backbreaker. And it's tough to, Matt Hyman was saying in chat earlier that the Canes are 25-7-1 at home. You give them the first goal as well on a mistake like that. That's a tough hill to climb. And this is something that we'll have to see with the playoffs. We've been kind of saying it all year that mistakes like this and misreads like this from Logan Stanley specifically on that third pair will come back to bite the Jets in the playoffs. It's up to him to shore up on those, or for the Jets to try a different look on that third pairing, because things like this can't happen in the playoffs, or else you'll go down 1-0 on the road to the Colorado Avalanche in round 2 or the Dallas Stars, and good luck, right?
Yeah. Good luck is right. And I'm curious to see what the acquisition of Luke Schenn, of course, does to that third pairing.
Yes.
There's a lot of people that are, assume that it's just they're going to go with two bigger, not physical necessarily, because Stanley isn't physical, but Schenn is. Two physical players in Stanley and Schenn. I wonder if maybe you do see a Hayden Fleury, more of a puck, maybe a more of a offensive-minded, skating type of defender, playing with a defensively responsible Luke Schenn. That would be sort of in keeping a little bit with the pairings that we've seen up front from the Jets. Morrissey, offensive-minded, DeMello, more defensive-minded, defensive-oriented, whether or not, he's had his struggles at times this year, no question. Same Pionk and Samberg. Does that maybe does Luke Schenn's acquisition allow the Jets to go with more of a balanced approach on that third pairing with Hayden Fleury as a puck mover, as a skater? I'd be surprised, but
I'd be surprised as well, is what I was going to say. Yeah. I just all the things that the Jets coaching staff have done this year has told us that Logan Stanley is the number 5 defenseman, not the number 6. Colin Miller's been rotated out of the lineup. Hayden Fleury, Ville Heinola. The one constant has been Logan Stanley. When he's been healthy, he's been in. So I think the plan A for that third pairing is Stanley Schenn. It's going to be a lot of size. And we'll see. We'll see how they fare in transition. I
agree with you. I do think it's probably going to be Stanley and Schenn as well. You just wonder if at any point in time the minds get changed as a result. But
for sure,
I tend to agree with you. The Hurricanes make it 2-0, 5 minutes and 20 seconds into the second period. Again, it's just a bit of a broken play. It's a strong forecheck from the Hurricanes. This is again up against the Stanley Miller line, and also against Barron and Iafallo and Brandon Tanev. and the puck is just moved around the sort of the boards and then behind the net, and then it gets pushed out in front. And it's not a very pretty goal, but it's, hard working, and it's well executed by the Hurricanes. It's Mark Jankowski. He gets his second of the game, his second as a member of the Hurricanes, his sixth on the season, assist to former Winnipeg Jets player Jack Roslovic, as well as Robinson getting the second assist as well. Again, just hardworking, and the Hurricanes, to their credit, just sort of outwork and get inside position on a lot of the Jets players, and they sort of cue ball the puck past the goal line on a second attempt to make it 2-0 at that point.
Yeah, this is like the ultimate like bottom six goal.
Yeah.
Cycles along the wall. It's a long shift. It's a grinding shift, and then you just throw the puck into the middle of the crease and pray, and you just power the puck into the net. And that's what happened. And yeah, it was an extended shift. It was a Stanley Miller pairing once again that, like we just mentioned with the first goal, had a really rough game. That pairing for sure. And I don't know how the kind of optics of this goal look. They don't look great, at least for that third pairing. Stanley and Miller. Stanley's hitting a guy in the corner while Miller's like jumping behind the net. So both defensemen are kind of below the goal line and out of the play while the puck is coming into the crease, which is not a good look. Obviously, Brandon Tanev then goes to, cover and does a pretty good job like tying up the stick, and the puck just kind of bounces in, and Jankowski is able to get one hand on his stick and shovel it past Hellebuck.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a bottom six goal. They outworked the Jets on this goal for sure. And it's something that, being harder on the walls is something that you can, maybe criticize this third pairing for as well. This is a play that they could have killed along the wall a few times and didn't. And therefore the puck got to the middle of the ice, and it was an extended shift, tired bodies, and it ended up in the back of the net.
Yeah, exactly right. 2-0 for the Hurricanes at that point. That's how the second period ended. The Jets killed off another minor penalty, though. Kyle Connor, he took a delay of game for a puck over glass, and the Jets had their first power play opportunity, real power play opportunity of the game when Jaden Chatfield trips down Morgan Barron. Otherwise, Barron would have been all alone on a breakaway opportunity. And I got to say, I like how the Canes penalty kill approached against the Winnipeg Jets, excellent power play, aggressive, great sticks. We know what Carolina is all about. We know that they are a very well-coached team by Rod Brindamore, and you saw it on display here. They had a strong game plan against the Jets power play, and they executed it pretty well on this first power play opportunity. The second one, which comes in the third period, the Jets had some grade A chances on and should have scored. But on that first opportunity, I'm pretty sure the Jets didn't even get a power play shot on goal on this first one with Chatfield in the box later in the second period.
And that's kind of the tale of the power play of late. There was the 0 for 18 or 19 stretch or whatever, where I think we can all agree they were still generating a lot.
Sure.
That first opportunity, I agree with you, not enough generated there. But then the second one, I mean, you can't generate more chances in a power play because either you score or you generate that many chances. Like that's what happens with a power play, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, that first power play unit, had so many opportunities on that second one. Just to go back to the penalty kill for a second, I was doing some mid-game research because obviously I'm going to be writing my next day takeaways for legalcurve.com.
Yes.
Since the beginning of February, and this was coming into this game, and the Jets went 1 for 6 on the PK in this game, or 5 for 6. Sorry, Carolina's power play went 1 for 6. But since the beginning of February, coming into today's game, the Jets penalty kill was 6th best in the NHL at 83.3%. And then at the trade deadline, we know that they added 2 players who are going to be penalty killing in Brandon Tanev and Luke Schenn. So the penalty kill has been a strength of late since the start of February. I know there's the break in there, but it hasn't been too bad. And in this game, they had the big kills early. Obviously, we'll get into the Stankoven goal here in a bit. And they let in that one. But with Schenn in there and Brandon Tanev in there and the penalty kill playing the way it is, that could be something that could look a lot better by year's end with the raw percentage of it than it has up until this point this year, where I think it's still middle of the pack, but since February, it's been solid.
Well, basically, there's the tale of two penalty kills with Dylan Sandberg and without Dylan Sandberg.
Yes.
I mean,
Good
now
point.
you have to insulate yourself in case he's not in there, which Luke Shen is certainly going to help with that. But, just to your point about the penalty kill, Dylan Sandberg, and, you've been all over this one. The Jets numbers, you and Dom Lucian of The Athletic, the Jets numbers with Dylan Sandberg in the lineup are incredible. And he's truly turned himself into he's the Jets' second best defenseman, and it's by a country mile. Him and Morrissey by a country mile over the other defensemen. It's not like they're all been terrible this year or anything along those lines. Just the way it is.
I will say here, sorry, real quick on Sandberg, because I have the stats ready, of course.
Yes.
After this regulation loss, so the Jets lost, they go 2-2 on the road trip. The Jets are 33-7-2 when Dylan Sandberg starts and finishes the game this year. So this is their 7th regulation loss all season long when Sandberg plays. Obviously, he had the multi-month absence with the broken foot, but 33-7-2. I don't have the point pace off the top of my head, but that's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's even better than the pace the Jets are playing at right now, in general as a team. So that's incredible. And the penalty kill is so much better with him in it. The second pairing so much better with him in it. The team is so much better with him on it. And to go back to training camp and hear the storylines about, can Dylan Sandberg handle a top 4 role? I think he's handled it quite well.
I think he's proven himself at this point in time. That's not something that the Winnipeg Jets need to be particularly concerned about.
No.
2-0 after 40 minutes. Can the Jets have another comeback in their back pocket like they did last year in Carolina? Right. The answer is no. For in case breaking news, there's your spoiler alert. Logan Stankoven, his 10th of the year, is first as a member of the Carolina Hurricanes. It comes on the power play. Shane Gostisbehere and Sebastian Aho get the assist. Stankoven is in a fortuitous spot for a deflection. It's not the textbook power play goal, but you throw pucks on net, you get bodies in front. Stankoven, not a big body, but he was certainly played the angles right, and as it deflected off of himself past Connor Hellebuck, and that gave the Carolina Hurricanes a 3-0 lead. This at the 2:34 mark of the third period. This comes with Gabe Vilardi in the penalty box for hooking.
Yes, and it was the penalty kill who we just kind of raved about there that let this one up. But again, this is one that I think you'll let them kind of have this shot most of the time. I mean, Stankoven, it kind of hits his chest. I don't know if it hits the shaft of his stick, but he just kind of hits him, and props to him. It's a great play. But yeah, I mean, it's one that maybe you'd want Connor Hellebuck to have. Maybe you want Neil Pionk to be there to maybe tie up the stick a little bit better, but then you're leaving Seth Jarvis on the wing wide open on this play. So it's kind of, you're picking and choosing here. And I think the Jets chose right. And it was just maybe a good bounce that got past Connor Hellebuck, hitting Stankoven in the chest, all 5'8" of him, or 5'9", or whatever he's listed at, in his first game as a Hurricane. And that was a cool moment to see. I know he's like a super young player and getting traded. I'm sure his head has been spinning these last couple hours here.
Well, I just saw a funny quote because he's a Vancouver kid, a BC kid.
Oh yeah.
So the Stars are in Vancouver tonight. He's got 500 people in attendance at tonight's Stars Canucks game. Of course, he's not playing in that game. So considering he plays for the Carolina Hurricanes now, but obviously he was going to be playing for free tonight for the Dallas Stars in Vancouver, including his parents. His parents were supposed to be at that game in Vancouver, and obviously the best laid plans can change quickly. He's playing for the Carolina Hurricanes, yet he's got all these tickets for people watching in Vancouver tonight. So I saw that. That's sort of a funny sidebar to what I'm sure has been a whirlwind last few days for Logan Stankoven. So Vilardi was in the box. Then Jordan Staal takes a penalty for interference. That's the interference penalty on Vlad Nemesnikov. Update on Nemesnikov will come after the commercial break. I'm making you all stick around for that because Scott O'Neill spoke about that. Ken Wiebe tweeted about that. So stick around after the commercial break. We'll give you the update on Vlad Nemesnikov. But the Jets don't do anything on that one. Kyle Connor robbed on the goal mouth. Beautiful save by Freddie Anderson. Another beautiful save, getting a breakaway. That was the Cole Perfetti one. The Jets finally get off the schneid at the 17-14 mark. Alex Iafallo. It's an unassisted goal. It's a throw puck on net For some reason, Jacob Slavin deflects it past Freddie Anderson. Not that it was Slavin's fault. It's just a bad goal by Anderson. The Freddie Anderson experience that cuts cuts the lead to 3-1 with 2 minutes and 46 seconds left in this contest.
Yeah, my favorite thing about this goal is the broadcast trying to figure out in live time who scored it.
Yeah.
It was originally Ehlers, and then it was Kyle Connor, and then it went to commercial break, and they came out. Kevin Sawyer was like, I have to apologize for 2 mistakes. 1, because I thought it was Ehlers. 2, because I thought it was Connor, but it's actually Iafallo. And like, you can't even blame him. Kevin Sawyer's down between the benches there, and the puck is coming from the wall, and it just goes in. Like, how does that even go in? And
it wasn't a scoring chance. I mean,
no,
it
was hardly a shot attempt. Like, if like I don't know, it was not a great goal, that is for sure. And I'd love to rewatch the highlights of this game to see all the chances from that power play leading up to the goal, because the chances were high danger. Cole Perfetti, Kyle Connor. I know Gabe Vilardi had his stick laying backdoor when Kyle Connor threw a seam pass right backdoor. How many times have we seen the power play score doing that? Mm-hmm. Gabe Vilardi even had the puck at the side of the net from Scheifele, stepped out in front and had a great chance. And it was just, they were kind of snake bitten, at least in the third period, and on that power play specifically. So maybe it was the hockey gods evening them up with this lucky one from Alex Iafallo from the wall. And then the last Lowry one is just hilarious.
Matt Dunstone has just thrown his final rock in the first end. It's a blank between Manitoba and Brad Jacobs. Brad Jacobs with an incredible double to keep Dunstone off the board. So they're through the first end in the Brier final. 0-0 between Manitoba and Team Alberta of Brad Jacobs. There you go. There's your curling update. I don't know if you knew that I do curling updates as well here on the show, but
I'm here for it. Yeah.
I'm a man of many talents. The Brier, Matt Dunstone, obviously Manitoba champion. He's going to hopefully win the Brier later on tonight. So that's something to keep our eye on throughout the course of tonight and tonight's post-game show, which will be long over by the time the Brier hits the nitty-gritty times of that. Seth Jarvis, local kid, he gets it into the empty net. So any thoughts of a Jets comeback after the bad goal? They don't last very long. It's an empty net goal for Seth Jarvis. Jordan Martinook and Jordan Stahl get the assists on this one. We don't break down empty net goals. And the Jets, just for shits and giggles, pardon my language, they make it 4-2. Adam Lowry gets his 14th of the year. It's unassisted, except it should be assisted by Freddie Anderson. And because, really, frankly, why not? It's our Seagram shot of the game.
The Seagram shot of the game.
I mean, it's just you tell me what Freddie Anderson's doing on this play. I mean, you don't even have to. It's not really that important. It's just, Adam Lowry, it's probably the easy, I love when you score a goal and it's such a ridiculous goal that you don't even bother celebrating. I mean, I know it's 4-1. There's 52 seconds to go. He's not going to celebrate that much in the best of times, but he's like, what the hell is that? He's like, okay, let's just get on with this game.
Yeah, I thought my TV accidentally switched to Live Barn for a second and was showing like Dakota Community Center, a local beer league game, because this goal has beer league written all over it. I mean, the goalie just passes it right into the slot to Adam Lowry, who doesn't celebrate after the goal. It's just like, yeah, I scored. Okay, fist bump. All right, let's drop the puck. Like, that's the most beer league celly ever. Right. So, that's I thought it was Live Barn for a second, but I was like, nope, still watching professional hockey, and that did just happen. All right. Yep.
Exactly right. Just want to highlight this. Bobby's liking the curling updates. It's not the illegal broomhead curling show, it's the hog line violation curling show. We've already discussed this on many times before here on Illegal Curve, but Dave and Ezzy are not about to be joining me on those programs. As he outlined, he's been banned from the West Kildonan Curling Club, I think, for dropping the rocks from a high distance. This might have been when he was a teenager, but he's not here to defend himself in any event. So It's the hog line violation curling show, which will be, once we get some sponsors for it, we'll bring that your way here within the Illegal Curve network. We can do that. 4-2 is the final score between the Hurricanes and the Winnipeg Jets. The Jets head home from this 4-game road trip with an even record of 2 wins, 2 losses. They bookend the losses with 2 victories in Philadelphia and New Jersey, and they get set for the New York Rangers to come to town on Tuesday night, a Rangers team that, if I'm not mistaken, lost to the Columbus Blue Jackets. Sorry, not over yet. They're down 7-3 to the Columbus Blue Jackets on home ice. Adam Fantilli, I believe, with the hat trick for the Blue Jackets in tonight's contest. So probably an ornery New York Rangers team will come to downtown Winnipeg on Tuesday night, but the Rangers have been pretty mediocre at best all season long, so the Jets will look to get back to their winning ways before next Friday's main event of the week against the Dallas Stars, coverage of which we'll have for you top to bottom in its entirety on illegalcurve.com and here on the Illegal Curve YouTube channel. We'll go to commercial break, and when we come back, I promised you an update on Vlad Nemesnikov. I also got an update for you on Neil Pionk. These updates courtesy of our buddy Ken Wiebe. I want to give credit where credit's due, but we'll tell you about him next. Sunday evening, Drew Mandel, Connor Harabchuk. It's the Illegal Curve post-game show. Stick with us.
We want to thank you for not betting with Play Now and choosing our illegal gambling sites instead.
Because we couldn't afford things like this without your money.
So much of your money.
Now you might have questions like,
do our profits benefit your community?
No.
Or bet with Play Now, Manitoba's local legal and secure gambling site.
Dining, entertainment, parking, and convenience, all in one spot. City Place is located in the heart of downtown Winnipeg, attached to the Canada Life Centre. Whether you're working, living, or out for a night in the downtown, make City Place your go-to destination before or after the fun finds you. Lunchtime, game time, anytime, visit City Place at 333 St. Mary Avenue, next to Canada Life Centre. Holt Dental, the new official dentist of Illegal Curve, has a philosophy rooted in two unyielding principles: genuinely caring about patients and providing outstanding service. Being a patient of Holt Dental means more than just checkups and treatments. It's taking the time to listen and talk to each patient so they can achieve the best long-term health, functionality, and aesthetics for their teeth, mouth, and gums. Conveniently located at Grant Park Festival on Taylor Avenue, Holt Dental is dentistry of the highest quality in a comfortable and relaxed environment. For more information, visit holtdental.ca. Oh, and there's plenty of free parking at the front door, too. Celebrating its 40th year as Winnipeg's home for stand-up comedy, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club has recently been named Canada's top comedy club and a top 5 comedy club in North America. From birthday parties to date nights to fundraisers and everything in between, Rumors is your destination for the best and most affordable live entertainment Winnipeg has to offer. For more information on upcoming shows, Rumors' incredible promotions, and to purchase tickets, visit rumorscomedyclub.com.
At Boston Pizza, a fast lunch doesn't have to mean fast food. Now you can get a $15 lunch served in just 20 minutes, including your choice of a main, side, and drink. That's right, lunch for $15 at your local Boston Pizza.
Welcome back to the Illegal Curve post-game show. 7:30 in the evening. Drew Mandel, Connor Harabchuk with you. I will have that update on Vlad Nemesnikov coming your way in a second. T. Konopoli mentions Ty Bauer deserves a Moose Minute about the length of his fights. Another main event at center ice. And I saw the highlights of it. I can't really give a lot of analysis of it. I only saw it in passing, but he was certainly chucking the knuckles. I think that was in last night's game, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think it was early. I don't think it was, or maybe it was Friday night's game.
No, it was Saturday.
Okay, was it Saturday? Yeah, he was against the Calgary Wranglers. I think that's who the Moose were playing tonight. I'll be honest, I've had a lot going on. Haven't been able to keep a close eye on the Moose. That's Dave M's Ballywick, but I did see
he hasn't been keeping a close eye on them either. Don't worry.
Yeah, I did
He's
see
often... who knows where.
That's right. I did see Ty Bauer get into another one of his main event tilts. So good on T. Konopoli for giving us $5. And as a result, good on me for mentioning it here on the post-game show. Here is the full quote from Jets head coach Scott Arniel when asked about the status of Vlad Nemesnikov. Nemesnikov was taken off the ice by the concussion spotter. That's why he left the game. Quote, yeah, he went into protocol. We will just have to wait until we get home. We have to fly home and see how he is tomorrow. Now, nowhere in that does it say that he was diagnosed with a concussion, but going into the protocol tells me that he likely does, in fact, have a concussion, the status of which will be evaluated when the Jets return home. So I would say that his status for Tuesday's game against the New York Rangers would very much be in flux, I would suggest, at best, for the Jets' second line center. And that, as a result, will cause some juggling and reshuffling to the Winnipeg Jets forward lines. Could be wrong. Could be proven he doesn't have a concussion, but that tells me it's not all great with Vlad Nemesnikov tomorrow or moving forward for the next little bit vis-a-vis a concussion.
I will say also on the spotter / concussion thing, sometimes, they won't have a concussion in the moment, but they'll want to wait and see if symptoms develop over the next 24 to 48 hours. That's a key thing. So maybe Nemestikov feels fine right now. Maybe he felt fine, and that's why the spotter took him off the ice, and he didn't necessarily be like, whoa, my head hurts, I got to get off the ice. Yeah. And we'll see in the next 24 to 48 hours. Obviously, the Jets will have a skate before they may or may not practice tomorrow, but they will have a morning skate. Probably not tomorrow, but they will have a morning skate Tuesday morning in which we will see if Vlad Nemesnikov's out there, how he's feeling, get an update from Arniel. And yeah, even before Nemesnikov got hurt in this game, Scott Arniel flipped the middle six centers. So Adam Lowry was playing in between.
Start the third period, basically.
Yes, to start the third. Adam Lowry was in between Nikolai Ehlers and Cole Perfetti, and Vlad Nemesnikov was in between Nino Niederreiter and Mason Appleton. An interesting switch. I mean, like we said, I thought the second line, as previously constructed, was the Jets' best line by far, especially through 40 minutes. I wouldn't have touched that line, but we didn't even get to see the other options that often because the Jets had a power play and Carolina had a power play. Nemesnikov got hurt, and we didn't even really get to see it.
No, and so if Nemesnikov is out of the lineup on Tuesday, David Gustafsson will draw back in because I believe Kupari will still be in concussion protocol. He's not an option until the Friday game against the Stars. So, again, you'll see some line juggling, you'll see some shuffling, you'll see some new bodies potentially moving around dependent on the health of Vlad Nemesnikov come Tuesday night against the New York Rangers. Along those same lines, health-wise, this again all courtesy of our buddy Ken Wiebe, he made note that Neil Pionk was spotted limping pretty heavily after the game. Also with the caveat, that's not unusual given how hard he plays, but that's also something to keep an eye on for the Winnipeg Jets come Tuesday night and what will presumably be a morning skate. The status of Neil Pionk. This was a physical game. This was a rough game. This was not a Sunday stroll in the park in beautiful Raleigh, North Carolina. The Jets a little bit banged up. They come home for Tuesday. Then they get the 2 days off before Friday's game not off, but not necessarily game action. I think they'll need that Wednesday, Thursday to get ready for the Friday against the Dallas Stars because they seem to be a little bit hobbled and a little bit walking wounded at this point in time.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a good thing that Dallas game is Friday and not Tuesday. These opponents aren't flipped because if Nemesnikov and Pionk aren't 100% and maybe a few extra days will help that, they can sit them. Again, it's another Eastern team. The Jets probably feel good about their chances even without those two players in the lineup. Shen is obviously expected to join the team and be in the lineup Tuesday. So you have a right defenseman coming in. You wouldn't presumably change anything else of the personnel that was already in there and have Shen replace Pionk if he was unable to play. But we've seen Neil Pionk play through a lot in his time as a Winnipeg Jet, and I would not be shocked to see him shrug this off and be totally fine going into Tuesday's game against New York. But yeah, two pretty key injuries to keep an eye on, like the second line center and the number 4 defenseman. Those aren't nothing. Those would be big losses going into Tuesday.
This certainly would be, but I think you make a very good point there, Connor, about Colin Miller has done nothing to really deserve to be pulled out of the lineup. So if that means giving Pionk almost 5 days off rather than have him at 65-70% on Tuesday, give him a little bit of extra time, move Miller up to play with Sandberg, or move then Shen comes in to play with Stanley. Maybe that's some food for thought for the Winnipeg Jets. Of course, look, your decision making could change depending on what the Dallas Stars do tonight against the Vancouver Canucks. A Canucks victory would be pretty big for the Winnipeg Jets. Anytime the Jets lose, if Dallas can also have a weekend of losses as they would with last night's regulation defeat to the Edmonton Oilers, would go a long way. We'll know about the answer to that a little bit later on tonight when the Stars and the Canucks do battle in Vancouver. Thank you, my friend, for joining me on the post-game show. It's been a lot of fun. We've really put your work over the last couple days between the Boston Pizza show on Thursday night and then tonight the post-game show. Dave and Ezzy should really follow your work ethic more than their lazy-ass work ethic. So we do appreciate that.
Well, thank you for having me on. I'll come on anytime. It's a blast doing these post-game shows. I know it's more fun when they win, more fun talking about a win, but these games are fun. I mean, Carolina is one of the best teams, and this was an entertaining game, and it's only going to get more entertaining. You got New York on Tuesday, fighting for a playoff spot, and they've been a really good team since JT Miller's been there, or at least a better team. I wouldn't go as far as to say really good. I'll retract that statement, but they've been better with JT Miller. And then Friday night, I mean, I'm so excited for that game. Jets and Stars. I'm hoping the Jets are at full health with Nemestikov and Pionk going forward. And I hope that's just a great game. And inside Canada Life Center, if the Jets can get a big regulation win in that one, that would be fun.
It would be certainly fun indeed. Want to say a big thank you to all the sponsors of Illegal Curve who make the post-game show, the website, the Saturday show a possibility. That, of course, is our friends at Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, Play Now, Holt Dental, Boston Pizza, City Place. We'll be at City Place for Friday's game, by the way, 12 noon, nice. A special pre-game show edition of the Illegal Curve hockey show. That'll be 12 noon on Friday. City Place and Seagram support these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve hockey. Brad Jacobs just made another double to take away 2 Manitoba Dunstone stones. Say that 10 times fast. So Dunstone is going to have to hit and ideally roll out to keep a blank going through 2 ends of the Brier final. I'll let everybody go back and watch that. If you haven't already done so, smash the like button, subscribe to the podcast, or smash the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's what I was going to say. And turn your notifications on so you don't miss a single episode of the broadcast from us here at Illegal Curve. Hurricanes win 4-2 over the Winnipeg Jets. For Connor Rabchuk, I'm Drew Mindell. Until Tuesday night, right around 9:45 p.m. We wish you good night and good luck. And thanks for watching the Illegal Curve post-game show.